Now, I know exactly what some of you were thinking when you clicked on this video. He's just going to blame Bob Iger for the collapse of Imagineering.
It's not brilliant storytelling, but it's brilliant execution.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I will talk about Iger and his role in this symphony of garbage. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This disaster is not just on the bean counter executives. A big part of the blame falls on this new generation of Imagineers themselves. Over the past decade, almost everyone has noticed the freefall in quality across Disney parks and attractions, especially when it comes to ambience, writing, and creative decision-making. Even the normies are complaining now. But here's what drives me insane. Everyone rushes to blame corporate, yet you almost never see Imagineering criticized for the slop they've been producing. Let's talk about the perfect example, Star Wars: Galaxy's Edge. This land cost $1 billion to build. Let me repeat that. $1 billion. Imagineers were handed the largest budget ever for a themed land, based on the biggest IP in the world, with nearly infinite creative possibilities. And what did we get? A generic, lifeless, soulless, poorly paced, low-energy land that most guests visit for one ride and then immediately leave. And yes, I'm saying it, Smuggler's Run is awful. And yes, Star Tours is 1,000,000% better than this trash. What's even more shocking is that not even the shops are interesting. Think about that. You'd expect a Star Wars land with $1 billion budget to pull you in, to make you want to explore for hours, the way Radiator Springs does, or the Wizarding World at Universal. Instead, Galaxy's Edge feels dead. No urgency. No magic. No reason to stay. And the proof of failure is right there. Executives were fired after the land's lukewarm reception and attendance drops. Disneyland Paris outright canceled Galaxy's Edge in favor of a Lion King land. So let me ask you something. With all that said, can we really pretend this is only the executives' fault? Yes, locking the land into the sequel era was a terrible management decision. Yes, canceling the immersive restaurant was corporate stupidity. But you still had $1 billion. And with that kind of money, you didn't even come close to a home run. That's not just mismanagement. That's creative bankruptcy.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Another way to understand this creative downfall is by looking at the new rides Disney has built over the past few years, or rather, the lack of new rides. Because many of them aren't built from the ground up. They're rethemes, retrofits, cheap, uncreative replacements slapped onto existing infrastructure. And when you directly compare the old versions to the new ones, the drop in quality becomes impossible to ignore. Take Splash Mountain versus Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The gap in writing, ambience, character development, architecture, and pacing is enormous. Splash Mountain wasn't just popular, it was one of the most iconic, emotionally effective rides Disney ever created. What replaced it? A bland, generic, dimly lit attraction plagued by technical issues. Walls covered in static murals instead of kinetic scenes. A low-energy, low-stakes story that feels flat from start to finish. And before anyone labels this criticism as ideological, even if you fully support the concept behind the retheme, you still can't honestly argue that this is good storytelling. You just can't. The narrative is shallow, over-explained, creatively safe, to the point of boredom. It plays like something written by retards, for retards. You could have told a richer story. You could have built real atmosphere. You could have created momentum, mystery, and emotional payoff, even while avoiding things that the woke crowd thinks is not okay. Better writers could have done it. Better Imagineers used to do it. Instead, what we got is a downgrade in almost every measurable creative category. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the real fucking issue here. We've got example after example after example. Great movie ride gutted for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Tower of Terror turned into Guardians of the Galaxy. Illuminations replaced with the disaster that was harmonious and now luminous. Spectro magic for the budget Starlight Parade. Fountain of Nations demolished for Journey of Water.
That is one big pile of shit.
And so many more beloved classics thrown in the trash. So how the hell did the legendary Walt Disney Imagineering, the division that literally shaped the entire theme park industry and used to pump out genuine art every few years, fall this far? There are a few main reasons. First, internal politics. A huge chunk of this new generation of Imagineers aren't artists. They're corporate ladder climbers, careerists who just want to get promoted to leadership. So they do exactly what they're told, play it as safe as humanly possible, and never, ever push back against stupid ideas. You don't get the old school resistance anymore. Back in the day, veteran Imagineers would fight tooth and nail against moronic proposals, like the time they almost replaced Carousel of Progress with some green alien Toy Story spin-off in Magic Kingdom. Yeah, that was a real pitch. Look it up. Today, they'll happily sign off on ripping out Rivers of America, something Walt himself loved, just to slap in a half-baked Cars attraction. Why? Because saying yes keeps the boss happy and guarantees that paycheck. Second, and this one's just as damning, hiring practices. Merit is dead. And no, I'm not talking about having a couple of African-American employees. I'm talking about something people are only now starting to notice openly. It's about which group you belong to. Because even though the largest demographic groups in America are white Christian men and women, you'll find virtually none of them in Imagineering leadership or creative roles. Go watch any Disney Imagineering video, scroll through their official posts, look at the names and pictures of the people they showcase. You'll notice a pattern. The only groups getting real shots are the same ones Bob Iger belongs to, the same ones who've run Disney for the last 40 years. My sharper noticers in the audience will connect the dots.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
And if you think I'm exaggerating, I dare you. Go through every recent Disney Imagineering reveal video and count how many actual creative leads don't fit the approved demographic checkbox. Heh, go on. I'll wait. There is no risk, no vision, just agenda-driven mediocrity protected by politics and nepotism. At the end of the day, what I want, and what real loyal Disney fans want, is actually very simple. We want Disney to return to what it always was, a company run by artists, a company that believes in the power of true storytelling, stories that don't just entertain, but actually change lives. Disney parks were never meant to be cheap dopamine machines. They were meant to inspire, to transport you, to remind you that imagination matters. And that only continues if people are willing to fight for it. So if any of this frustrates you as much as it frustrates me, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me which classic attraction Disney destroyed that still hurts the most. And subscribe, because this conversation isn't over. We'll be back. Until then, go touch some grass before Disney paves it over for the next IP cash grab. See you guys next time.